I grew up in Europe during the interval between the First and the Second World War. I was born in 1926, just a little less than 10 years after the end of the First World War. And I remember going through Nazi Germany, and I was in Austria when the Nazis first came in. I remember in Vienna there was a lot of fear then. We weren't allowed to say anything in the restaurants for fear that somebody would overhear us and report whatever it was. And there were all these Nazi officers walking in the streets and saying, "Heil Hitler," and I'd say, "Hi there." But it was not an easy time. My brother was in a train compartment as we were going through Germany once, and somebody, he had a roommate, and at the border the Gestapo took him and put him in a concentration camp. Those were very difficult times. Back after the First World War, somebody said that I feel that there's going to be another war and I don't want to be around when it happens. And so he spent years looking all over the world for some place that would be safe and secure. And finally, in 1938, he bought land on the island of Guam. Guam, as many of you know and some of you don't know, was virtually the center of the Pacific theater of war in World War II. We cannot escape the troubles of this world. They are always there. I had this great, intense desire when I was young to try to find a way of bringing peace into this world. I didn't want it just for myself, I wanted it for others. And I hit upon a solution which I have fulfilled in my lifetime. At the age of 15, in 1941, I decided that what we needed to do was start a community that would be away from everything, and that when the world sort of bombed itself back to the caves, then we would be able to be a shining light and bring civilization back to the world. It was a romantic dream, but since then I have actually been able to, first of all, perceive the theoretical validity of it. I used to worry when I saw, I was born in Romania and the communists came in there. My parents were in Romania after the World War because my father was sent there as a petroleum attaché for the government. And many of our friends were sent to Siberia. The thought of communism, I did not see the good side of it. I saw the way it was actually practiced instead of the beautiful theory of the greatest good for the greatest number. This, unfortunately, is a sheer blind. The truth of it is that it's the greatest good for a few people and kill everybody who disagrees with you. And I found so many people, the only word that my father learned in Romania, basically of Russian, was "niet." No. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do the other thing. There is a much better way of improving this world and creating a better world. If you can offer people an example of a group who live together in peace and harmony, then others will see this example and say, I like that, I like that way of living. And so 40 years ago, and this is our 40th anniversary of Ananda Village, I decided to start a community. I had wanted to for many years, but finally I was able to found it then. And it has been a marvelous experience, and I do urge all of you to come up and visit us. We have a branch community in Palo Alto, Sacramento, Portland, Seattle, Assisi, and outside Assisi in Italy, and we're forming one in Pune in India. But this example, which people view a group of people living together and living in harmony, living in happiness, living in peace, this is an ideal of peace that I would like to uphold before you. But I would like to say that peace begins with that last song, Home. Home is where you are. Home is your own inner self. And that's what I really want to talk about today. We are living in an age of very unsettled times. And the reasons are many. One is the very nature of the world in which we live. People always think, if I could just be left alone, then I would find everything I've been looking for. It does not work that way. Peace is not the absence of strain and worry, because there will be strain and worry. And if you were to find a place not in Guam, but some little Pacific island where nobody will come, or you could find, and there was a period in my life when I actually thought about going to the South Pole to be in complete seclusion there. Well, fortunately I didn't go there, but wherever you are, you have your own nature to contend with. And I found when I was trying to find what life is all about as a young person, as an adolescent, I found that the real problem I faced was me. Wherever I went, there I was. I'd wake up in the morning and stare them in the face. I just had to face the fact that if I was going to change anything, the first thing I needed to do was change myself. And then I discovered what a very difficult job it was, because the more I got down into my nature, first of all, I realized that I'm just a human being like everybody else, and I have the capacity for goodness and evil that everybody has, and it really worried me. I'd see a drunk and I'd think, but I'm not a drunkard, but I could become one. I could see a criminal. I have no inclination to be a criminal, but he's a human being, I'm a human being. Why couldn't I be? Why couldn't I have all the terrible qualities that the Gestapo had and the communist torturers have and so on? I don't see it in myself, but how do I know? What security do we have that we are really going to be all right? Who knows what kind of temptations might come our way? I didn't see myself as being those things, but I thought, there, but for the grace of God go I. Those are my own self in that form. Everybody, in a sense, is specializing on behalf of the whole human race in being himself. Everything that anybody has ever accomplished or been, everybody has that potential also. You have the potential to be the greatest composer, the greatest Einstein, the greatest scientist, or the worst, the most heinous criminal in the world. Everything is latent in human nature. And I thought, well, I'm trying to improve myself, but I work on some little quality here, and I'm taking away energy from there, and that quality comes up. And then I'd rush over there to try to push it. It's like, sort of like trying to wash a shirt, and there's a bubble in the shirt, and you push it down here, and it comes up over here, and you rush there, and it comes up over here. And I realized that you just can't overcome it that easily. And I finally reached the point. And this is a point that most people think of in vague terms, but I came to understand that what I wanted was God. That without God and without help, I was pretty lost. I just would never be able to, in one lifetime, what can you accomplish? And so it was that when I came upon Autobiography of a Yogi in a New York bookstore, it was a great blessing for me. It was a sort of thing that God himself took a hand in, because I had never heard of Indian teachings. I knew that India existed, but I didn't know anything of Indian philosophy. I'd never read any of it. And after reading Autobiography, I took the next bus across the country, and I said to Yogananda, I want to be your disciple. And that was 60 years ago this September, and I've never changed my mind. But it would not have been easy if my parents had been in the country, so it was God's grace also. My father had been sent to Egypt as the to lead a petroleum mission there. He was an oil geologist. And I put my mother on the ship to join him after packing her up. The very day that I put her on the ship was the day I discovered Autobiography of a Yogi. I have to say that was a great blessing for me. They were horrified, but there was nothing they could do about it.